It may sound like a weird concept when you're sending something off to somebody to master, that they request that there is more bass and less top end. Now, the cheap way of mastering is to put a load of top end on, turn the level right up, and it all sounds great. That's basically, you send it off to someone, doesn't really know what they're doing, and they just put some top on. It sounds all nice and bright and spangly, and it sounds open, and it's also really loud, so everyone's happy. But once your ear is tuned up a lot more, and if you are a good mix engineer, you're going to see through that straight away. So if you are a little bit worried, if you're not a mix engineer who's very happy with the balance of their track, that's fine if you've got that and you're super comfortable with how a track's sounding before you give it to mastering. That's cool. But if you're not, then what I advise is you leave the more bass on. So if you've got any low cuts on sort of the master bus, now I'm not saying that for instruments, because sometimes you're going to have, say, different cuts in the low end for different instruments to keep the space there. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying on the master bus, if you've got, say, a compressor going and it's got a low cut on it, leave that, leave bass being maybe a bit bigger, but don't sort of add extra top to the mix at the end, because the reason why is because I would rather try not to add top end when I'm mastering, and I try and craft the low end, because I find that when you really craft the low end together and you can sort of cut into it and compress it and hold it down and get it sounding right and clean, because I can hear what I'm doing in here basically, I don't need to add as much top end, and then what happens, you get a very nice posh sounding track. So by not adding the tops, getting the bass nice and tight, the track really comes together and I get a really posh, nice sounding track. Where if I start adding loads and loads of top on, it starts sounding thinner and more open, and more open's good, but not in this way, it's just too much. And then if I've got no bass to play with, then I'm adding bass on to try and get some sort of beef into the bottom end, and adding stuff on just doesn't really work. It's like when you sort of put things on clay, you know, and it just falls apart rather than being part of the main mold. So it's kind of better if it's there and you can take away rather than add to it. And then the top end is the total opposite, where it's better if it's not there and you can add to it, because as soon as you start putting top end on, as I said at the start of the video, it starts opening the track up. So it's a very easy, quick win. But rather than have that quick win, if I am going to add a little bit of top, I might add 1 dB or 2 dBs, and I might do it also with an analog EQ and add some sort of analog flavour into the top end, or I might use a different type of plug-in sound just for how I've created the rest of the track. So really it's nice to leave that to the mastering engineer to make that judgment and have that sort of feel once you've crafted the low end. All right, what sort of top end do I want to put on it? So that's quite nice. But yeah, if you're happy with the low end, then keep everything flat and nice, but most of the time I would suggest more bass, less tops. So I hope that's helped you delivering your tracks to a mastering engineer. Now, thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.